Hey, what's up guys? It's Jackie, the vegan marketer from Influential Vegan, and today it's a really rainy day. I just brewed myself some coffee right over there. You can kind of see the cup right there. Yeah, but I just wanted to share with you really quickly one of the core components of good marketing. Okay, and what that is belief. And you may be asking me, hey Jackie, like how the heck is belief related to marketing? And really quickly, in short, everything, right? And this is very, 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 very important to know because marketing at its core is creating belief. It is creating belief, and it is conveying that that belief is possible for the person who is being marketed towards, that it's possible for them to adopt this belief, to embody it, right? And it is also possible, or it's also a reason for them to act now as opposed to later, as opposed to never, right? And really quickly, I just wanted to share with you how my experience with being a marketed veganism was, right? And it wasn't by any particular person per se, right? But it was an overall experience. So for me, when I first became vegan, I was vegetarian for maybe like 2 or 3 years before this, and it was my first year in college, right? And I had this professor. I didn't have him, but I've heard of this professor. I got to know him a little bit, and he was this badass. He was super, super cool. And here was, I wouldn't say shocking, but it kind of blew my mind a little bit. And what that was that I found out that he, of all people, this extreme professor, save the world of badass, was vegan. And that's when I first got the idea that you can even be vegan without being an extreme weirdo, right? I don't know if you guys are getting this, but this was a huge shift in my perception, in my frame, because had I not seen him do it, right, I've heard of other people, of other off-the-hinge weirdos who were vegan, but I never heard of someone who was cool, someone who was trying to help the planet, who was trying to do all these amazing, cool things, doing this vegan thing. So for me, that was the very first instance of when I first got introduced to the idea of veganism, right? And at the same time, it made me think, if he could do it, I know someone who is not a complete weirdo can do it. Maybe, just maybe, I can do it too. But at that point, it was still kind of budding a little bit, right? My sense of belief of how much I can adopt a veganism diet or adopt a vegan diet and veganism was still out of a bar that's up here, right? Out of a 10, it was maybe at like a 2 or 3. But the crazy thing was that it was a 3, not a 0. And that is huge. And of course, as I started engaging myself in more videos and more of the content of trying to educate myself a little more, that belief meter, right, went from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 9 to a 10. And so I fully believed that I could become vegan, that it was something that was possible for me to do. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? So it's pretty crazy because without him first introducing this idea that someone else could do it, right? Someone else who was cool, someone else who was trying to do something good could do it. It wasn't until then, and then me adopting the idea, adopting the belief that I could do it myself, was it that I actually became vegan, that I made the decision to adopt a vegan lifestyle. This is huge, right? And what's crazy about this is that same process, that same decision process that I went through applies to literally every ideology, every idea, everything you buy, what you eat, the decisions you make, right? There has to be a certain belief first, and there has to be this sense of engaging with that belief to say that it is me, it is my choice, or not necessarily even my choice, but it's something that I can do, right? If we were to look at a phone, for example, or earphones, or scissors, or a cup, of course, marketing, or what people normally associate with marketing and branding, right, is, hey, look at my product, it's here. You know, if you want it, you can get it. But what isn't emphasized enough, or what is not emphasized enough, is the idea, the push to say, hey, you know, you right there, you watching this, you can adopt this idea. You can see yourself with my cup. You can see yourself with my diet. You can see myself, you know, or I can see myself with those scissors, with that phone, with those earphones, with those mouse, with whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. And that's the step that a lot of people fail to get to. So there's a lot of influencers that I know. There's a lot of people who are for the cause, a lot of people who are just selling products, right? They'll do this first step of marketing, of branding, right? Of saying, hey, here's my stuff, right? But they don't say, hey, here's my stuff and it is for you, and this is why you should see yourself using it. And then even beyond that is why you should act now, why you should adopt this belief now, why you should act on this belief now, right? So it's one thing to have that belief there. It's another thing to embody that belief. And it's a third thing to act on it. And I've been kind of hinting at this, but more elaborated, I guess. I would first call that first aspect marketing, right? Where you create belief. And that second aspect, I'd actually really call more of sales, right? Where you try to convey to the other person what you are selling, an idea, a diet, a product, a service, how they should be able to see it for themselves, how they can see themselves using it and adopt that belief that, you know, they can actually do it too, that they can have it too, right? And that final part, closing, right? Which is why you should act now. Why should you get the cup now? Why should I buy your stuff now? Why should I adopt a vegan diet now as opposed to next year or never? Right? And there's of course strategies for all of these different aspects, right? In the marketing, in the sales, in the closing. But what I want you to understand is that it is belief that drives this whole process. It is the relationship to a certain belief that drives the whole process. So in addition to that vegan little story I told you right now about my professor, I just want to tell you another little story about this Rubik's Cube, right? So what was really cool was that about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I walked into my apartment. My roommates had this Rubik's Cube on a little corner of the room. He had it on top of this book called Speed Solving the Rubik's Cube or something like that. And I saw that book there for months, right? For the majority of last year. And I shit you not, I picked it up and I was like, hey, I want to learn how to solve this. And I solved it in an hour, right? Maybe an hour and a half. And I went down from 8 minutes to 3 minutes to, I kind of do it now in 2 minutes, right? It's dumb how fast I was able to do it, right? And I'm not saying this to say that I'm more competent than my roommates, but I do want to say that there is a difference though on why I was able to do it so quickly. And before you start calling me a cheater, it was because I learned how to solve it 3, 4, 5 years ago when I was in high school. But, you know, to be fair, I completely forgot everything. I literally had to relearn everything. All the algorithms, all the stuff that made it work, all the different patterns, right? Excuse me. But the thing that I had over him was that I've done it before, so I had this deep-seated belief that I could do it, right? Because I just dropped it. But we both know that we both believe that it's possible to solve a Rubik's Cube. We've seen other people do it. We know it's possible. But what I had over him was the fact that I know, because I did it already, that I am the type of person, I have the capability of learning how to solve it again. And with that ability, that changed my entire relationship with how I interacted with that decision of learning how to make it and learning how to solve it, right? Are you getting this? It's kind of crazy how much of a difference belief has on what we decide to do. I know it sounds extremely cliche, this idea, this overemphasis of belief, but I want you to understand that it is core, it is fundamental, it is the bedrock of good marketing. Because without it, without understanding belief and understanding how to create it, without understanding how to get someone to embody it, how to change the relationship with this idea, with your product, with your service, with the beliefs they have against it, for it, it's gonna be very, very, very hard for you to sell something, to influence people, to get people to see your way, or to make, or to urge them to make a certain type of decision. So I hope you're getting this. Like, this is some pretty crazy stuff. When I first heard of this, I made the connection and I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. And ever since I learned it, when I apply it into my copy, my writing, my marketing for my clients and for myself and whatever else, right? It just made so much more sense, and it makes what you're doing so much more clear and so much more purposeful. Okay, so I hope you got a lot of value out of that video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Yeah, subscribe, for more videos like this. Share this with another person who you think might enjoy it, right? And really quickly before I sign off, I just want to say I really do appreciate you watching this far, of deciding to make the effort to learn this stuff, because this stuff is powerful. This stuff can really change how you interact with other people, and more importantly, how you're able to influence them to make better decisions, right? And to influence them to do, to sell your stuff and do whatever else, right? I mean, I'm assuming you're doing this for a good reason, right? Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be watching this video by the vegan marketer. So again, I just want to say thank you for, taking the time to learn this stuff, because I do think it's extremely important to learn, and I'm sure you do too. Okay, so with that, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later.